Sudan is one of Africa's most famous countries for gold mining, but today it remains trapped in a devastating war between two men who were once allies. Both claim to be fighting for Sudan's future, yet both have turned the nation into a battlefield. The people of Sudan, who once dreamed of freedom and democracy, are now caught in the crossfire. At least 80,000 people have been killed, and around 14 million have been displaced. The same men who once promised peace are now fighting for power, and the dream of a free Sudan feels more distant than ever. So how did this happen? To understand, we need to look back at Sudan's history. Sudan's past is marked by broken promises and military coups. Since gaining independence from British Egyptian rule in 1956, the country has witnessed 5 coups in 1958, 1969, 1985, 1989, and 2019, each one deepening division and conflict. The longest of them all was Omar al-Bashir's 30-year rule, which brought dictatorship, wars, and economic collapse. In 1989, Field Marshal Omar al-Bashir seized power and ruled the country for 3 decades. Many called him a dictator. His rule saw widespread protests, especially in the 2000s, when his government was fighting rebels in Darfur, a region rich in gold. To suppress the rebellion, Bashir created Arab tribal militias, local fighters on horses and pickup trucks, known as the Janjaweed. These militias were accused of mass killings, looting, and burning villages during the Darfur conflict. One of their leaders was Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, widely known as Hemeti. Coming from a camel-trading Arab tribe, he rose to power through violence and loyalty to Bashir. In 2013, Bashir formalized these militias into a paramilitary unit called the Rapid Support Forces, or RSF, and appointed Hemeti as its commander. He was later promoted to lieutenant general, and his forces began operating parallel to the regular army, outside the traditional military chain of command. This meant that Sudan effectively had 2 major armed forces: the RSF, led by Hemeti, who came from a militia background, and the Sudanese Armed Forces, SAF, commanded by Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, a career military officer who oversaw ground operations in Darfur and Yemen. Both forces operated under Bashir's regime, but reported separately to him and the defense minister. Neither man commanded the other directly. Eventually, Bashir's rule began to crumble under growing protests. In 2019, the people rose up, chanting one phrase, "Just fall." During the holy month of Ramadan, on June the 3rd, thousands of peaceful protesters gathered in front of army headquarters in Khartoum, demanding civilian rule. As dawn broke, security forces opened fire. Both the army and the RSF participated in the brutal crackdown. Over 120 people were killed and hundreds went missing. On June the 3rd, President Omar al-Bashir had been overthrown after 30 years in power. In front of the army headquarters in Khartoum, thousands of peaceful protesters gathered, demanding one thing: a civilian government. After Bashir's fall that same year, Burhan and Hemeti took control through a transitional military council, promising to hand over power to civilians. Burhan became the head of the council, and Hemeti served as his deputy, but their alliance was short-lived. By December 2022, tensions between the two generals grew. A new agreement aimed to return Sudan to democracy, but it required the RSF to merge with the National Army. Burhan wanted it completed within 1 year. Hemeti demanded 10. Neither side would compromise. On April the 15th, 2023, war erupted in the capital Khartoum. The RSF seized the international airport, cutting off supplies and trapping civilians. For months, the city was torn apart by street battles, airstrikes, and the collapse of basic services. No food, no water, no medicine. The RSF tried to capture the presidential palace, parliament, and key government buildings. By March 2025, the army regained control of the capital, but what was left was only rubble and grief. In Omdurman, mass graves were discovered. Hundreds of men, women, and children buried without names or dignity. In October 2025, the World Health Organization reported that 460 patients and their companions were killed during a massacre in El Fasher. At least 25 women were gang-raped when RSF forces entered a shelter for displaced people near El Fasher University. Now, a question arises. How do these forces fund their wars? Both sides receive international support. The RSF is backed by the United Arab Emirates, Chad, and Russia's Wagner Group in exchange for gold, since they control Sudan's main gold mining regions. The Sudanese army, on the other hand, receives support from Saudi Arabia, Iran, Turkey, and Egypt. As of now, there is still no civilian government in Sudan. Only the army and the RSF are fighting for control over the presidency, the military command, and the nation's wealth. Hemeti claims he is fighting for democracy and against dictatorship. Burhan claims he is defending the state against rebellion. But for the ordinary people of Sudan, it makes little difference. Cities have been destroyed, families displaced, and thousands of lives lost as Sudan's dream of peace continues to fade.